Hello people, what's up? It's me again, Junkmaster3, and this is going to be a video about my Code Red releases that I have in my collection. Because I thought this would be an interesting idea or whatever to make a video about this because I'm a big collector, not big collector, but I am a collector of Code Red releases. The reason why is basically because so many times it feels like so many of these releases are really hard to come across, and it almost seems that most of these goes for ridiculous money online. So that's the reason why I decided to make this video. And we start this video by showing off this DVD of Death Row Game Show. I actually did have this on VHS before, but when I found out that Code Red had a release of it, I just picked it up right away. Not sure if the picture quality is any good or not. I think it's quite okay, to be honest. And to be honest, some of these Code Red releases I think doesn't really have the greatest picture quality, but that doesn't really bother me that much, to be honest. I'm just glad that these movies are getting released. Now I'm not too sure how rare this one is, but yeah, I really love the premise for this, or it seems to be really funny and entertaining in a twisted type of way. So yeah, Death Row game show. And then we have this movie with Joe Spinell, The Undertaker. Now this was probably one of Joe Spinell's last movies before he passed away. I think he died of some really weird accident. I've heard many rumors about this. I'm not going to go to any more details about that, but now, like it says here on the front, first time on home video. I think that's, I mean, the whole cover art looks really retro and VHS-esque, if you ask me. Not seen this one yet, but it has Joe Spinell in it, and I think Joe Spinell is a really great actor, and I think he did his best work in Maniac, also known for the Rocky movies, the first two, of course. So yeah, The Undertaker. Then we have this one, Horror High. I'm not too sure if this has anything to do with the Return to Horror High, which was the slasher film released in 1987. I'm not too sure which company that released that movie on DVD. Maybe it was Anchor Bay, I'm not too sure, but I have no idea if this has any connection with that movie. If you know about this, just let me know in the comment section. Yeah, I would be really glad to find out if that's true or not. This one I actually had to pay quite a lot for, but it seems to be an interesting movie from the 70s. I think it was the 70s. I really love this logo thing here on the front. Horror High with the eyes right there as well. So yeah, Horror High. Then we have a movie which actually one of the few Code Red releases which I also had sealed. 25th anniversary edition, first time on DVD. Retribution. I think I might have had this in another release before, but since I'm a collector of Code Red releases, I just had to pick this one up. Heard that this is supposed to be like an underrated gem or hidden gem from the 80s, and I'm not really sure, but this guy for some reason reminds me of Isaac in the Children of the Corn movies, especially Children of the Corn 666, Isaac's Return. But yeah, Retribution. I only heard good things about it, so yeah, really looking forward to check this one out. Then we have another movie called The Dead Pit. I have a little funny story about this one. I actually have never seen this movie, but I own 3 different releases of this movie. And the reason why is I picked up the VHS copy of this, and then I found out that it had a release on DVD, and then I picked up the Region 2 release of it, which I think was quite cut in a way, or I've heard it's supposed to be cut. But this is unrated director's cut. So I think this is probably the best version to get, and I'm not really sure if you can see here on the front 2-disc collector's edition. Not too sure if this is the hardest one to get or anything, but yeah, it is released by Code Red, of course. So yeah, that's how it is. So yeah, The Dead Pit. Then we have Terminal Island. Let's see here, with Tom Selleck, probably one of his earlier movies. This is from the early 70s. Once again, I picked up this basically, yeah, I can say the same thing about every release here, that I picked them up because they are Code Red releases. And if I find them to be like interesting in a way, and this one seems to be really interesting because the premise for this sounds really interesting. That's what I want to say. I'm just mumbling here. So yeah, Terminal Island. And then we have a movie which I actually have seen. This is The Forest, released in the early 80s. Many people say that this is a slasher film, but according to the director himself, this is not a slasher at all. This is more of a psychologically mental nutcase or whatever that roams around in the woods, basically lives by himself in the woods. So the director said that this is more of a drama film than a straightforward slasher film. But yeah, that's his opinion. I still categorize this as a slasher film in a way because it has some of that aspects. Now, to be honest, this movie isn't really the greatest. I think it lacks atmosphere. I mean, the atmosphere is there from time to time, but what it really lacks is maybe body count. I mean, it doesn't really have a that high body count, and maybe that's the reason why the director thinks this is not really a slasher film. So yeah, The Forest. And then we have the Code Red release for Sweet 16. Another one which I haven't seen, and a really funny thing about this is I did pick up, let's see here, was it 88 Films who released this as well. From time to time I tend to do that, especially for slasher films, because slasher is my favorite subgenre when it comes to horror films in general. So yeah, Sweet 16, yeah, basically picked it up because it's a slasher film. And then we have The Redeemer, which I made a review of not that long ago. So I'm not going to go to any more details about it because, yeah, if you want to know more about this movie, I'm just going to refer to my review for this movie. So, yeah, The Redeemer, Son of Satan. Now let's see. Then we have the movie called Ghost Keeper. I have a little mixed thing. It's a mixed opinion about this. I really love the locations where this was filmed. Like, it feels so isolated in a way. And I think one of the characters in this is really creepy. I'm not going to spoil it for you because I think this is one of those movies that you need to see without knowing too much about it. Because if you know too much about it, it won't be as interesting, I guess. So I actually did watch this with a couple of friends. I think some of my friends thought it was really boring, but I mean, the atmosphere really makes this movie entertaining, in my opinion. It's not the greatest movie in the world. I still gave it like a 6 out of 10 stars, so I think it's watchable for what it is. So yeah, Ghost Keeper. And then we probably have one of the worst ones released from Code Red. And by worst, I mean worst movie. I think this is so miserable, this movie. I'm really bad, but I'm a collector of Code Red releases, so I'm probably going to keep it anyway. This has like David Carradine in it for maybe 5 minutes and Steve Railsback in it for maybe 1 minute or something. That's the best thing about the whole movie. The rest is garbage in my opinion, and I actually did make a review of this on my IMDb page, so if you want to know more about that, be sure to visit my IMDb page for my opinions about this movie. So yeah, Trick or Treats. And then we have this movie, Primal Rage. This, from what I've heard, this is probably one of my most expensive Code Red movies that I have in my collection, because I've heard that this goes for insane money online. And yeah, I can sort of see why in a way, because I think this is so entertaining and so good. This is I think this is like produced or written by Umberto Lenzi, if I'm not mistaken, who sadly passed away this previous like autumn. But yeah, I think I also did make a review of this maybe like 3 or 4 months ago. I'm not too sure how long it was, but yeah, this is really entertaining 80s goodness. So yeah, Primal Rage. And then we have one of few action films in this video, Choke Canyon. One of the, now it feels like I'm repeating myself over and over again, but this also has like Lance Henriksen in it, so that's another reason why I picked it up, other than like it is a Code Red release. So this is a one which I haven't seen yet, so yeah, Choke Canyon. And then we have this, Butcher Baker Nightmare Maker. also known as Night Warning, and I think this is probably also one of the more rare Code Red releases from what I've heard. So yeah, really looking forward to see this though, because I've heard that this is like I think this is like a video nasty as well, and it's supposedly to be one of the better ones. So yeah, Butcher Baker, Nightmare Maker. And then we have the Strangeness. No, basically nothing about it. Supposedly this is like a very low budget movie from the mid 80s, which was like lost in obscurity until Code Red picked it up and released it. And yeah, we're looking forward to see it though. So yeah, The Strangeness. Now I have to speed up a little bit, but yeah, here we have Trapped, directed by William Fruet, who also did Killer Party, and let's see, what's the other movie he did? Funeral Home. I'm probably missing out on some movies here, but yeah, Trapped. Then we have The Carrier. This is, from what I've heard, about some type of like melting man or some like guy who has some sort of weird disease. Now I don't really know what to say about it, because this is another one which I haven't seen. There are like a bunch of these which I haven't seen, so I need to check them all out as soon as possible. And we have Don't Go in the Woods Alone. This movie is really terrible, but it has some really funny elements in it, and that's the reason why I enjoy it, because it feels like it's like a so bad it's good type of film, because the killers are really ridiculous and hilarious at the same time. And yeah, I also have another release of this. That was like an Austrian release, and the only reason why I picked up this release was because it was a Code Red release. So yeah, Don't Go in the Woods Alone. Then we have Exterminators of the Year 3000. And then we have another release of Madman, which I've heard is quite a crappy release, to be honest. I'm not really sure what the reason is why so many people hate this release. I think it's something to do with the and the last one for this video is going to be The Love Butcher, which I still haven't seen yet. Now, hope everyone enjoyed and didn't get bored, and hopefully this works out well, because it feels like the camera is getting a little bit more like laggy